Hi, I'm Brodie Button and welcome to my channel. I am a mindset coach for mothers and I help you overcome postpartum depression. Today I wanted to share a little video about my second birth, my positive hypnobirth, natural drug-free birth with my daughter. So as this was my second birth, I already knew what to expect. I had previously had a natural and drug-free birth with my first, but I didn't really know how to navigate the system and the hospital and things like that. So this time I came in with a clear plan, and my plan this time was to actually hire a doula. And if you don't know what a birth doula is, essentially it's hiring your own support person during birth. So within my first experience, I will also do a video about that, but I didn't really have great support at the hospital, so I decided this time to bring in and hire some support so I knew I could count on that for the day. So I had just hit 40 weeks postpartum. I think it was 40 plus 1 days. I'm really not interested in being pregnant for a long time. I prefer to have my baby out in the world, and I actually put on a lot of weight every time I've been pregnant, so I'm just very uncomfortable and things like that. So I was really like getting to the stage where I was like, okay, I need this baby out of me. I need her out and I need to just start this next season. So I went and I met my doula this day and I was just chatting to her about my birth plan, exactly what I wanted, and I just felt so much more relaxed knowing that I had hired a birth doula and she was going to be with me, and I just felt like everything was perfect and coming together. And of course that night I went into labor. So I think it was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon that I had seen her, and then I went home and I think it was about 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock at night I lost my plug. So I had my little bloody show and I texted her and I was like, guess what? She was like, no way. And so I was like, okay, hopefully this means it's coming soon, because this is what happened with my first daughter. I lost my plug the same day I went into labor. So I just started doing some things to kind of relax and to boost my oxytocin levels. So I started watching some funny videos and I put some mood lighting on, had some essential oils going and all of the things, and I was really relaxing. I was bouncing on my birth ball and I was doing some special movements like spitting babies, trying to make sure the baby was in the right position and things like that. And then not long after I did start having contractions. They weren't immediately painful or anything. I just had a few light contractions that got more and more intense as it went. And again, because I really knew what to do this time, I just like really embraced the contractions and I was bouncing with them. I was trying to laugh and I was trying to really boost my energy and my oxytocin levels, like I said. So I was really deepening them as much as I could and trying to get them moving. And then I think it was about 11 o'clock at night, I called my doula and I said, look, it's definitely happening. I'm in labor. I'm just gonna chill at home, have a shower, get that hot water going and listen to my birthing tracks. And so that's what I was doing. And I was really visualizing my birth with this baby and meeting her. And then about 12 o'clock, I called my mum to let her know that she might need to come and pick up my daughter soon because I'm definitely in labor. So she came and picked her up. About an hour from there, it was about 1 o'clock, I called my doula and I said, I'm pretty sure this baby's coming soon, so we're gonna head to the hospital very soon. And I think it was about a 30-minute car drive. So I got everything packed up, my daughter had been picked up and we headed down. That car ride was a lot and I just kept breathing through it as much as I could and really focusing on my breath and really enjoying each contraction, because I knew that every contraction was going to bring me closer to my baby. So I just like held on to the window. My husband was going over some bumps, so that was definitely like getting it moving more, and that was quite intense, but it was okay. I got to the hospital and they had closed the original like opening, and so it was just the emergency department that was open, which was very interesting because I walked in there and everyone's looking at me. I'm like this big pregnant woman and I'm like, I am in labor, like I need to get into the birth suites. And they're like, okay, like trying to sign me, and I'm like, no, like you need to get me in the birth suites. I'm gonna have a baby very soon. And I'm like at the counter just like having contractions, breathing and breathing. At this point, my contractions were very close together, like a few minutes apart, and I just knew based on my prior experience that this was definitely getting very close. So they opened up the door and I went through, and there was a man there with a wheelchair that offered to take me and walk me up, you know, wheel me up to the room. And I'm like, no, I'm walking this. Like, with birth, if you try and like stay still and things, like, I really just don't recommend that, because you want to embrace and move around as much as you can to keep that flow and that natural state of what your body already knows what it's doing, and so does your baby. So just going along with what your body is designed to do was what I was keeping in mind. So I refused the wheelchair and I just walked and walked, and then we got to the birth suites and we actually needed to either go up a set of stairs or go up the escalator. And the man was like, okay, you know, get in the wheelchair now and I'll take you in the escalator, in the elevator. And I was like, no, I'm walking up these stairs. And he's like looking at me like so concerned, because it looked like this baby was about to come out because I was obviously experiencing very deep contractions at this time. And so I just took my time and just went up the stairs and kept that going, because moving your body, like I said, it helps deepen your contractions, get closer to your baby coming. So then I went into the birth suite and I was so lucky. Like, I could not have planned this better. It was beautiful. It was at a place called Redlands Hospital just outside of Brisbane, and my midwife was amazing. Her name was Georgia, and she was just beautiful, and she had all of the lights down low. She had essential oils going. It was very relaxing. She had the bathtub flowing because she knew that I wanted to have a bath, and I had previously called her, like letting her know that I was about an hour away. So I got in there and she said, you know, let me feel your belly. And she said, okay, the baby hasn't dropped. Like, you're definitely in labor, we can see that, but the baby hasn't like fully dropped down. And she was like, you know, just keep going. I'm not going to do a check or anything like that, because I'm just going to let you see how you're going, and like put the monitoring band on to see like baby's heartbeat and my heartbeat or whatever, and everything was fine. And then I just stayed standing up, walking around, and then I said, okay, like I think it was probably like 20 or so minutes. I was like, the contractions are actually not stopping now. So what usually happens is when you're having a contraction, it goes really intense and then it comes back down, and you kind of have like this little break of no contractions. But what was happening is that I was going up into this like intense contraction, and then going into like a mid contraction, and then going into intense. So it just like, I wasn't having this break anymore, and I was like, okay, it's not stopping. And she was like, okay. And then I was like, I feel really sick, and she obviously knew that was transition, so she handed me a bag if I wanted to vomit, and I just kind of stood there for a little bit. I'll insert some photos. And my husband just kind of like held me a little bit, and he was pressing down on my back because we had done our hypnobirthing course, so he kind of knew what to do. He was pressing down some pressure points, and then I was just saying, okay. And my midwife was watching me, and she was like, okay, Brodie, if you want to get in the bath, now is the time. And my doula just arrived, and she started getting my birthing playlist going, and it was actually really funny. I started like, for some reason, I was like fussing. I was like, no, I don't want to get naked. I don't know why. And I was just like having this moment of like feeling insecure for some reason. And even though I'm like literally in a birthing suite about to have a baby, and I have a doula and a midwife who are used to seeing naked women all the time, right? And obviously my husband. And so this song starts playing, and it's, am I pretty enough? Am I not pretty enough? Is my heart too broken? And so I was like, we all just stopped and started laughing, because here I am freaking out about being naked. Like, am I not pretty enough? And then, so anyway, they get me in my bra, and I get into the birthing pool, and I take off my undies, get in, and immediately my body starts pushing. And when I tell you I had no control, I had absolutely no control. I felt my baby drop, and I didn't experience that with my first, but I was like, I bet this baby's gonna be massive. And I could feel her drop, and I just started saying, she's too big, I can't get her out, there's no way. And then like my body would start pushing, and I was going, no, I can't push her, she's too big. So it was like I was having this argument with myself, with my body. Like, I was trying to stop myself from pushing, but my body's like, come on, like, she's coming now. And I'm going, no, she's too big. So it's kind of funny. And at the time, I wasn't like upset or, you know, anything, but it was very intense. So I was experiencing a bit of pain during the pushing because I felt like she was so big. And then within about 10 minutes, I pushed her out, and my midwife just asked me to, so I could feel her head came out, and I was like down in the pool. And then my midwife just asked me to stand up, like putting my hands down and my bum up in the air, because the baby was kind of stuck a little bit because she was so big. And when I did that, I obviously had moved my body in a position that it allowed her to then twist out, and then she came out, and she was a chunky monkey, and that's why I was experiencing so much intense feelings when I was pushing. She came out, she was beautiful, and she was immediately screaming, and I was like, okay, complete opposite to my first daughter. So we just had some moments in the bath, and then they got me out onto the bed where I laid down, and they just wanted to check if I had experienced any tearing, and I did. I had a 3rd degree tear. So that was probably the most difficult part of my birthing experience, was that I then had to get stitched, and obviously I was on no pain medication and everything, so they had to give me a local anesthetic into my area downstairs, and that was very, very painful. But once they did that and they started stitching, I obviously couldn't feel anything, so that was good. And they offered me gas to breathe in whilst I was getting the local anesthetic because it was so painful. So I took a couple of deep breaths, but I did not really enjoy it or like it. I'm not someone that really likes the feeling of being drunk, and to me it feels like you're going from complete sober to like absolutely wasted, so I didn't like that. But immediately, like, we started breastfeeding, and I kept her on whilst I actually forgot to say this, but the placenta came out probably like 20 minutes later, and I kept Bubba and placenta together. So we have a beautiful photo of baby and placenta together. Getting to see her life force was really empowering for me as a mother, and getting to see just the beauty and the work of God and the universe. So yeah, it was really powerful for me. And I guess my best tips for new mums, maybe if you're pregnant and you're watching this, you haven't had a baby yet, is just honing in on the kind of support that you want. You want someone or people around you that you feel comfortable with, someone who can be lighthearted with you and create like magical moments in those intense moments. You also want to really be prepared and knowing, you know, what are the steps in birth and what are my options. I think having awareness of your options and whether or not, like, if you decided to go with drugs, like what kind of steps you can take. With my first daughter, in the next video when I share about her birth, you'll be able to see that I actually ended up getting something called sterile water injection. So it's just literally water injected into your back to help with the pain. So that's a drug-free option if you didn't want to take drugs. I think a lot of people have this misconception of if you don't have drugs during childbirth, it's going to be really painful and really negative and you can't really be there mentally. But I actually really love it, and I'm really grateful that I've done it both times, natural and drug-free, and I obviously have been blessed enough to be able to do that. And I just think, yeah, you can have whatever birth that you want, and I hope this inspires you to know that you can have a positive birthing story, and good luck with everything. And if you like this kind of video, please give it a thumbs up. Comment below maybe if you've had a similar birthing experience or something about birth. I would love to connect with you guys, and be sure to subscribe so that you can see my next video.